So, welcome back to my channel, Fiction Star. I will start with the new series, so let's begin to the first part of the series. The series name is What If Naruto and Konan Were Couple, so let's start the first part of the series, I assume. I understand, Naruto. Nagato wheezed, looking on the blonde-haired ninja. Nagato's frame lay defenseless in front of the Konoha, shifting up and down from light respiration. Naruto checked out him sternly, Speedy going through everything that went on in his mind. After hearing Nagato's cause of his doings, Naruto knew what he changed into going via. However, the Konoha knew that it changed into the incorrect manner to move about the state of affairs. Naruto ultimately broke Nagato's outer shell. This is why I've decided on some things. Nagato back, I can revive everybody I have killed recklessly. However, before I try this, there's something you want to recognize. Naruto gazed upon the nearly useless guy, now curious as to what the Rain had to mention. Konan looked at her friend as well, retaining quiet so she would not interrupt him. Her face became solemn, but unsure of which emotion she wanted. There are things about your circle of relatives that you do not know. Matters that had been so dangerous that maximum of your family have been killed if you want to prevent chaos, Nagato croaked. He looked at the boy whose facial features softened from confusion. The reality is, your circle of relatives held a very powerful bloodline trait, Naruto. This trait was so lethal that during the Second One Awesome Shinobi War, everybody made and tried to kill them. Nicely, if they're all lifeless, then how does that relate to me? The blonde nin bluntly requested. Nagato regarded down at the boy, after which curled his lips upward. Of them survived the struggle, Naruto. The leaf nin widened his eyes upon that response. Why you suggest my father become a survivor? Nagato slightly chuckled, which observed through a hacking cough. Once he settled down, he endured. No, Naruto, your mother turned into the one who survived. My mother? Naruto questioned. Nagato received glances from each Naruto and Konan, however merely shrugged them off with a detached composure. Yes, Naruto. Kushina Uzumaki changed into a survivor from the Shinobi Conflict Clan massacre. Her abilities have been unawakened all through the time of the bloodbath, so no person may want to inform her descent. She then moved to Konoha to cover from the killings and became herself into a Konoha ninja. Naruto nodded at that, but then he found out something. Wait, if two of them survived, then who is the alternative one? Nagato checked out him along with his respiration nevertheless ragged from chakra intake. Then he dropped the seriousness that etched across his face to set free the gentlest smile he ought to muster, and responded. I am Naruto. Both Konan and the blonde-haired Jinchuriki face faulted on the Rinnegan wielder. What? Nagato. Is this true? Konan requested the crimson-headed man, who willingly shook his head in compliance. Sure, Konan, Naruto is my little cousin. The Konoha did not understand what to say about all of this new evidence. The entirety he knew about himself and his heritage brought itself into a brand new light. All he did was drop to his knees and bang his hand on the ground. Some tears shed from his face, observed with the aid of chance of why. And I cannot agree with it, manifestly from the unexpected realization that had taken area. Don't be unhappy, Naruto. It changed into purported to appear this manner. Naruto seemed up at Nagato with teary eyes, who gave him a comforting smile. He then were given returned up and wiped his face along with his sleeve, feeling as though a boy shouldn't cry. Oh, so it truly is why you wanted him ultimate. Is that why we never stuck him as well? Konan asked, uncertain of the state of affairs. Nagato shook his head in settlement. That, and due to the fact Naruto is in order that powerful, a mild laugh escaped his lips. Any data obtained approximately Naruto, I absolutely destroyed. I didn't need my cousin treated like a few animal, like he were handled for most of his lifestyles. Naruto's eyes widened once more at the statement. You have it's right. I've been watching you ever since you became a ninja. I've watched you develop into what you're today, and to say I'm impressed is a real understatement. For a while, I concept you rebelled, however you kept your head held excessive. I bet. I wager that's something I envy about you. The Purplehead lowered his view from wandering eyes and softly endured. This is why, earlier than I'm going, I have something to offer you. Method me, Naruto. The Konohanain became wary, however did as became advised by taking reluctant steps in the direction of the person. Naruto heard a smooth click at the left and proper arm braces that held Nagato's fingers. His hands trembled weakly as he attempted to release them from the arm cuffs. Sooner or later, he extracted his palms best to have them flop to his sides. The blonde ninja climbed onto the mechanized, four-legged automobile getting inside a tane of the Rinnegan wielder. Nagato smiled at the boy before him as he lifted his arms. He added them up in brilliant treble, placing his thumbs on both cheeks underneath the eyes of the Konohanain's face. He then placed each his index arms and middle fingers on Naruto's temples, gaining full interest of the boy. This could harm a touch before everything, but it will depart in a second. Nagato confided him, handiest to get an anxious look from the leaf ninja. The purple head then closed his eyes and started out chanting a mantra, producing a lavender chakra through his hands that seeped into Naruto's skin. No longer even a moment later, the blonde ninja commenced screaming in soreness. Gaiak! Naruto choked out because the mantra persevered. Greater chakra dispersed via his arms as Nagato proceeded with the mantra, which made small steam formations begin to seam round said arms. Naruto closed his eyes as a burning sensation swept via his whole frame. He felt like he became in his own personal hell as hearth appeared to invisibly consume the boy, making all of his nervous device react to the painful feeling. This lasted for some other few seconds earlier then, sooner or later, Nagato launched his grip, in flip making Naruto fall to the floor with steam protruding from the Akatsuki's former finger placements. The Konohanain made several attempts to vomit, however never succeeded as the sensation died slowly. Naruto fought to get again up by using fumbling a few times on his FT, but managed to reach complete peak again. His eyes stung to the diploma that he needed to preserve them shut in the interim. A minute or so passed as Nagato started out up again. Very well, Naruto. You may open your eyes now. The blonde-haired boy opened them and blinked a few instances before completely focusing again. Nagato looked at Naruto and gave him a slight smile and self-assurance. I have awoke your potential, the ability of the Rinnegan. It isn't always a complete Rinnegan because you haven't mastered it yet, however I don't see a trouble with you increasing it to its fullest ability. Naruto looked at his mirrored image on one of the metallic braces and found out that violet jewelry had changed his irises entirely. The scene prompted him to jump back in amazement, in turn making him stumble over his personal foot. Nagato began speak me once Naruto jumped up to his feet again. Yes, your eyes have become to Rinnegan, but it is in no way completely that way. You could turn it on or off each time you operate it, kind of just like the Byakugan from the Hyuga clan. The blonde nin shook his head as the Rinnegan diminished into his ordinary ocean blue eyes. Konan changed into speechless. The boy who had fought towards them for see you later turned into, in fact, Nagato's cousin, some other holder of the Rinnegan. Nagato need to have full agree with in this boy. I've by no means seen him like this before. Konan notion as she gazed upon the two. A couple of minutes handed as Nagato eventually spoke up. Naruto, I'm sorry about what I've achieved. Optimistically you'll use the Rinnegan better than I've. The blonde-haired ninja checked out Nagato, after which gave him a sad smile. By the time I have revived everybody, I can hopefully have moved on to a better area. My own peace. Wait. No! You can't die! Konan shouted as she watched the man prepare himself. He checked out her solemnly, as if he became thinking of something, then gave her a satisfied glare. It has to be finished, Konan. I was foolish. I killed thousands of human beings attempting to find a solution. Now I am procuring my actions. No! Please! I want you. I'll haven't anyone left in case you're long past. She back. Naruto? Nagato known as to him completely ignoring his pal. The blonde Jinchuriki met the operator's gaze. Deal with Konan for me. Naruto nodded his head and watched as the Rinnegan wielder made some hand signs to pour the relaxation of his chakra into the flow. It took nicely over a minute earlier than they witnessed Nagato's body pass limp, and all signs of lifestyles fade. Naruto sighed as he recalled everything that passed off formerly. His final family member died before his very eyes. A member of the family he never even knew he had. It added on a feeling of regret, which caused him to stifle tears by using blinking some instances. Konan lay silent as she took within the data as well. Her quality buddy of a few years discovered proof that she by no means knew or did not trouble to position the portions together. How should she have ignored it? How ought to Nagato no longer inform her something of this significance? They were pals, right? I don't forget something that befell while we obtained information regarding the Nine Tails. She checked out the blonde ninja, falling into a now not-so-remote reminiscence. Ake held himself by and large in the desk room of his house in Amigakure, assorting papers and scrolls alike on whereabouts of Jinchuriki and different records, which includes conditions of different villages and teammates of the Akatsuki. His office changed into alternatively dark, most effective, lit up via a small lamp to his left. Bookshelves littered his workplace with hundreds of books, antique and new, and he had one large wall-sized window searching out into the whole village. He got here throughout the two-tailed Jinchuriki file and started out glancing through the scroll looking for key phrases containing any clues to her whereabouts. A knock rapped on his door, observed via a grunt from Ike, signaling entrance to his office. Pain Taishu? Konan asked the orange-haired Akatsuki. Speak your matters, he responded, busy looking over the scroll. I have information concerning the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. She lowered back, pulling a scroll from a pouch underneath her cloak and putting it on his table. Ike widened his eyes, placing them on the scroll. The Nine Tails? He reached his hand, laying it upon the wrapped paper. Then, with a fast movement, he opened the scroll. This became the first statistics he acquired of the nine-tail fox, so he wanted to study it as fast as possible. Data got here in the following. Report: Jinchuriki, Uzumaki, Naruto, age 12 years, antique demon, Kitsune #of tails, general of 9 village of origin, Konohagakure, last acknowledged area, Konohagakure. What? No, it cannot be. He regarded over it, after which over it a 2D time, a third time, even a fourth time, till it sooner or later sank in. Uzumaki. The call dripped from his tongue in astonishment. He hadn't heard that name in nearly 13 years, and to mention he turned into stunned was a negative choice of phrases. He becomes speechless. Every other Uzumaki continues to be alive? Any other Uzumaki? He mused to himself. He had acquired phrase of Kushina's death, however by no means knew she bore a son, a lot less a son that now possessed the Jinchuriki. Is something incorrect? Konan, pressured inside the situation, requested her long-time friend, only to receive a sharp glare from Ike. Send for Itachi without delay. Konan felt paralyzed from the unexpected outburst for a 2D simplest to shrug it off and disappear into paper. She appeared with Itachi moments later, who gave Pain a silent stare. Itachi, there may be a count that needs to be treated with utmost significance. The Uchiha still appeared unfazed while quietly eyeing the head Akatsuki. Hold. There may be a boy from Konohagakure that possesses the Kyubi. I'm positive you have information approximately the layout of Konoha. Itachi gently nodded. This is why I want you to maintain a full eye on this boy. Any new facts you get hold of comes at once to me. I do not need anything going on to him. I need to be the one to face him. I'm positive you've got a knowledge as to why I am doing this. The Uchiha raised a slight eyebrow from the barely important indicators the Akatsuki leader was gesturing. Konan didn't notice them, however Itachi very well did. He knew exactly what Ike was talking about, as if it had been a mutual feeling that no one else could recognize. Understood, Pain Taishu. And with that, the Uchiha disappeared through Shunshin. The orange-haired Akatsuki sat go into reverse at his desk, unaware that he got up from his seat to relay the message. Konan checked out her buddy, uncertain of what turned into going on in his mind. However, she knew that deep down something became troubling him. They've known each other for a long time, so it's now not as if something Pain does might cross ignored by her. Feeling she needs to find the underlying reason of the state of affairs, Konan decides to invite him. Ike? She requested him with uncertainty in her voice. What's it, Konan? The Akatsuki head back. She walked a little toward him and held her weight on her palm to his desk. Is there a trouble with the Nine Tails? You appear hesitant. He stopped straight away, what he turned into doing, which startled her slightly. The entirety's pleasant, Konan. No want to worry. He's just the strongest one is all. He gave her an assured smile, however she wasn't buying it. You suspect you can cover it, But I recognize there's the entirety's excellent Konan, he shouted with extra force than he desired, which made the paper angel wince from the sudden noise. Well, if you ever want everybody to talk to, I'm here Nagato, she advised the person whilst giving him a sad look. I realize Konan, I recognize. Ike spoke back breathlessly. He got up, walked over to the wall-sized window, and began searching out into the rain as if something become there. It appeared like he desired to speak approximately it, but he simply didn't have the heart to. Konan ought to experience his sadness radiating from him. She knew something was hurting in her of pain, a brand new pain that made him guess a couple of factors. Maybe it became something she could assist with. They have been pals in view that they have been kids, so there shouldn't be anything that they could not tell every other. However, there has been something that he did not want to reveal to his buddy, which left her slightly burdened. Eventually, she concluded that not anything else stated ought to trade his mind about it, so she asked one very last query. Want me for something else, Pain Taisha? She requested reluctantly. You are disregarded, he referred to as. Sure, sir. The pink-haired Akatsuki answered, strolling out of the door. She turned her head one closing time to examine Ike, who turned into nevertheless watching out into the rain-crammed metropolis lost in concept. She then reduced her head barely and softly closed the door. After she remembered that, she felt like a total fool. All of that time she had to discern it out, and she or he felt completely oblivious to it. Then her gaze grew to become returned to Nagato. Her buddy from umpteen years changed into useless. Her closing buddy from the trio, which now consisted of one, was useless. The conclusion eventually hit her. Then, for the primary time, for the reason that struggle, she started out to cry. She slumped to her knees and pushed her palms to the floor. A tear or two rolled from her cheeks as she endured to gently sob. She didn't realize what to do anymore. Her buddy Nagato become head of the organization, ever considering the fact that Yahiko died. She could maintain as leader, but there has been no motive to keep a society that had no purpose anymore, since the preceding proprietor defected himself earlier than he surpassed on. She sobbed even greater every time she conceived approximately his death. Naruto watched her sulk in her personal distress and commenced to experience sorry for the lowly Reinin. He did not recognize what to do for Konan, considering that she become once the enemy, but something instructed him that deep down inside, she too changed into human just like him. He walked over to her, feeling the want to console her because he has been there earlier then, and he is aware of how it feels. Then she started to shout hysterically. Avoid me. She began worming her manner to get farther from him. Konan, I apprehend the way you experience. How? Shut up. You apprehend nothing. That last word had a lot disgust in each syllable that it spat from her mouth like acid. Naruto attempted to transport nearer, but she nevertheless wormed even farther until she reached a wall, continuing to sob together with her face grew to become in an attitude that blocked Naruto's view to peer. Her cry. Live away! Konan yelled, making Naruto wince. He knew she simply failed to want him to avoid her. However, she really wasn't the sort he could simply up and hug either. He didn't realize her too well, but Nagato did tell him to take care of her, so he went for second pleasant. You watched I didn't cry while Jiraiya-sensei died? I do not suppose that Ike will each leave Jiraiya-sensei become my godfather. He started to sense enraged the extra he idea about it. It turned into something he wanted to get off his chest for a very long term. He could not accept as true what he become without a doubt pronouncing it, but there he was on autopilot, talking whatever his coronary heart felt now. He taught me nearly everything. I wouldn't be alive proper now if it wasn't for him. She still sobbed at the wall now, not saying a word, which made Naruto vent even more. He slapped his arms on his face from the frustration, then screamed. I just killed my cousin. My final member of the family I'm able to ever recognize is useless. I'm by myself just as tons as you are rattling it. He then kicked a stone across the cave, making it ricochet from the wall until it landed several yards away. After that reaction, Konan regarded up at him. Naruto turned into truly crying again, however his face wasn't sad. No, he had an enraged air approximately him now, something she had by no means seen earlier then, which frightened her a piece. Strive, residing without a family your whole life and understanding everyone hates your guts. It'll give you a good kick inside the teeth. That situation regarded acquainted to her. Then she remembered Nagato and his life. The sudden revelation brought Konan huge-eyed again. Nagato and Naruto weren't an excessive amount of one of a kind. Nagato lost his dad and mom within the war when he became young. The Rinnegan he had made human beings shun him for what he turned into. Then she reviewed Naruto. From what she knew, his mother and father died whilst he changed into a baby, and all and sundry refrained from him for the QB sealed away internal of his frame. Her mouth then dropped open upon that fact. You're right. Huh? Naruto replied. He didn't think it would stick to her this quickly, so it threw him for a loop. You are in reality proper, Naruto Uzumaki. She were given up from her function the usage of the cave wall to prop herself up from the floor. She wasn't crying, but the tear stains and strolling mascara proved she did at one point. There are people who've suffered some distance worse than I have. I should not embarrass myself with such trivial matters. She then wiped her face with her arms to remove the emotional stains that covered her cheeks. Naruto's demeanor changed closer to her after that. Noticing the way she become now, it made him sooner or later comprehend that battle does things to human beings. It turned into almost as though she become a scared toddler in an older body. He then sauntered himself over to the Rain and lightly located his left hand on her shoulder. Appearance Konan, I comprehend it hurts, however there is no motive to conquer yourself up about it. The simplest issue you could do now is keep moving ahead, you realize? She dared to inspect his eyes and noticed a fire swelling deep within those swimming pools of ocean blue. The equal fire someone she once loved had at one factor, and just for a cut-up second, she notioned it changed into this character. A neglected smile grew on her facial features. Her smile became no longer enough to show appreciation for Naruto's try to console her, but simply enough to show she concluded in her mind about something. Nicely, Naruto started scratching his cheek together with his index finger, breaking eye contact through embarrassment. I may want to ask if you can, I don't know, join Konoha or something. That statement broke her ruminations. The sheer notion of her becoming a member of the Leaf regarded preposterous. She became an S-rank crook who turned into inside the maximum feared company of the land. Her smile faded as she shook her head in rejection. As can be because the offer sounds, I do not suppose I will. She reduced her head and moved a few ft from Naruto. But, Konan, I ought to inform them that you changed your mind about your approaches or you helped me no, Naruto, I just cannot. She interrupted, staring him inside the eyes. If I tried to go away for your village they might simplest ask for my execution. Naruto stared at her in disbelief. She appeared like she desired to move. He may want to see the sadness in her eyes, although it wasn't apparent for the time being. Though, despite the fact that there was sadness, her lips appeared to say something else to reject the boy. However, no buts. Konan retorted, disrupting his sentence again. Now if you will excuse me, I've subjects to take care of. She grew to depart the cave, only to receive an irritated look from the blonde Nin. However, I am imagined to shield you, Naruto burst, clenching his fists. Konan stopped dead in her tracks. A gasp entered her lungs as another time, any other thing approximately this boy reminded her of Yahiko. The orange-haired ninja had said that to Konan one closing time earlier than he died. The lady became very distraught about the loss of life of her teammate, since she did have a crush on him in spite of everything. But after Nagato changed him as Akatsuki chief, either one of them spoke about it once more. The red-haired Nin then looked at Naruto, who flustered, seeking out a solution. Not like that. I intended, Nagato informed me to shield you so. His sentence cut itself quick as she walked over and lightly wrapped her fingers round him. It wasn't an affectionate hug. It wasn't even a friendly hug. It changed into only a simple hug of compassion. Simply as quickly as he were given used to the sensation, she quickly pulled back, making sure to signal to him that it became not a skip. While her arms got here from around his chest, she held out something to him. Vegetation? The blonde Nin requested. Konan became maintaining a bouquet of origami flora. Naruto had in no way seen something like them before, so he became a bit curious. It is a signal of friendship and accept as true with. Konan instructed the boy before he grabbed them. He eyed them studiously, alternating among her and the flowers. I can't go with you, Naruto. I've every other village to look after. She persisted because the ex-Akatsuki began to take her leave. Naruto fumbled speedy, looking to think of what to say. Nicely, will I ever see you again? She became her head to eye him. A smile got here over her functions as she did a shunshin by paper from her spot, leaving an aggravating and stressed Naruto. It had been almost 3 days for the reason that amazing revival of Konoha. For the reason that day Naruto determined out that he changed into the last Rinnegan consumer. This got here as a shock to him, and induced him to reflect upon his life, and what he certainly knew approximately himself. To be sincere, he hasn't been appearing as himself ever on account that he came back to the Leaf Village. Positive he enjoyed the birthday party after his return to Konoha, but the celebration seemed whole. Must they virtually be having a victory party from the demise of his cousin? The general public, who were both hammering partitions or cementing floors, stopped right away what they have been doing to greet the savior of the village. As he walked through Metropolis, the village mentioned cheerfully to the Uzumaki, both giving him a pat at the shoulder or telling him simple words of encouragement. Quite a few instances, there'll also be little kids that could encircle him and ask him to play. Sometimes he would agree, however maximum recently he started to decline them, announcing that he turned into too busy at the moment. He without a doubt wasn't busy at the time. He become just in no mood to sign up for the children in their time to fool round. Ichiraku would not be constructed for every other day or two, so he scuffed his toes all the manner to his newly constructed apartment that was in region of the original. The complete village contributed to his apartment with the aid of making it slightly larger than the authentic. There was an additional room and a multiplied kitchen. Even the toilet saw in growth in size because it nearly doubled in width, leaving masses of leg room to walk around. He unlocked the door and slowly trudged inner. The scent of clean paint and newly reduced wood filled his nostrils as he walked through his lately acquired domestic. He seemed to his left and proper and noticed the present-day furnishings and meals that loaded his residence. The new food piled to the ceiling with ribbons, cans, condiments, and lots of distinct forms of self-made meals. All of this food might take him an entire week and a half to devour, even a fraction of it. Absolutely, he began feeling crushed via the quantity of attention. Something you would not assume from the supposed primary hyperactive ninja every person claimed him to be. He could also apprehend why the human beings were so giving. The human beings have been indebted to him, and needed to repay him by hook or by crook for saving their lives. So with not anything else to do, he sat down and took a rest on his new couch. He positioned his palm under his chin and stared out of the extensive window that ignored the street. Humans were nevertheless busily running on other buildings. Seeing the people doing this made him think about an anthill. Despite the fact that the anthill receives destroyed, the ants continually pop out and rebuild as though nothing ever took place. Then his attention fell on the origami vegetation. He located them in a vase and positioned it on the windowsill the day earlier, then as a reminder of the alliance he and Konan now percentage with the leaf and rain. Alliance, huh? He asked, searching at the blue flowers. He twiddled them between his index and center palms, looking at them blankly. Deliver me what I seek? Tobi/Madara asked the half-beaten lady. You will benefit not anything but demise with the aid of preventing me. Konan checked out him, clenching her arm, seeking to staunch the pain. Her frame tingled in soreness with every breath she took. The chakra reserves in her frame depleted her energy to move too vigorously because it turned into a chore to even keep on her toes whilst she stood there encompassed with paper. Tobi/Madara got here for Nagato's body to surely thieve the Rinnegan and acquire the secrets, and makes use of the ability, however changed into welcomed with a deathly encounter with the blue-haired ex-Akatsuki. I can in no way will let you take him. Her fury started to overweigh her safety, but she didn't care. As long as she kept her pal far away from the hands of the grabber, she might threat her existence to ensure not anything changed into disturbed. Idiot, do who I'm? He bellowed. I do not care who you are. I'm able to die before I allow you to take him. A fire burned in her eyes as she stated that. Her will turned into flaming fiercely. The orange-masked man checked out her for a few seconds, and then smirked under his masks. So be it. He fashioned a few hand symptoms, and released an unavoidable fireball jutsu. It went so rapid that Konan could not get out of the way even if she desired to. The flames surrounded her frame and burned her skin, causing her to scream in excruciating pain. Her very last resistance turned into overrun as she fell limply to the floor. Tobi/Madara checked out the woman, and then located his eyes on Nagato with delight. He launched his space-time jutsu and sucked in Nagato's frame to every other size by using his Sharingan. Just while he was about to go away, a short determined maiden tried to assault Tobi by ramming via the person with a spiraling sphere of chakra. The masked guy went intangible as the discern went instantly through him, inflicting the Rasengan to explode at the ground, forming a crater with dust and debris taking the air. Tobi appeared inside the direction the person resided and noticed a figure status on the opposite end of the room. Konan staggered her head to look up and noticed an orange blur seen in the front of her. Her facial functions softened barely as soon as she found out who it changed into. Naruto? She asked weakly because the boy guarded her. Sorry it took me so long, Konan, the blonde nin instructed her unwavered. He becomes step by step, leering at Tobi/Madara, ensuring the Uchiha failed to make any early starts. The orange-masked Akatsuki stared at the boy. He felt something exceptional about him, as if his electricity elevated twofold. This feeling. Madara notion nevertheless receiving glares from the Konohanin. This boy. This strength. How did he get a lot stronger in one of these short quantity of time? He checked out the boy once more, and this time his eyes lingered onto Naruto's. What? Madara notion out loud. What is this? Their eyes interlocked every other's gaze as Tobi discovered himself staring into the boy's eyes. The Rinnegan. Madara then, for the first time in some time, felt a touch fear for his safety. The orange-masked man knew he changed into no healthy for Naruto in his current country, as Tobi did no longer have the Rinnegan, but he wished a possible excuse to make his go away due to the fact if the Akatsuki made one false circulate, the show was over. He looked to Naruto and calmly spoke. It isn't our time to combat, boy. Tobi spoke back, taking infant steps far from the Konohanin. He already carried out his objective, so there has been no need to combat the blonde. Then with a wispy sound, he disappeared by means of using his space-time jutsu. Naruto clenched his fists. However, allow it go, as he idea he would in no way be able to trap Madara now, or he didn't want to get into a place wherein Madara had the advantage, and could without difficulty take out the blonde nin. The Rinnegan dwindled from his eyes as he turned his attention to Konan. She had fallen subconscious from the chakra consumption, and burn marks scattered throughout her frame. Her cloak was torn in lots of places and her hair was slightly singed on the ends. Blood fell from her mouth and dirt marks littered her body as properly. A depression emotion overtook his features. Whilst he checked out her, the sight of a almost useless person laying on her deathbed, it made his belly recoil. Nobody have to must suffer like this. Do not worry, Konan, I'll get you someplace secure. He hefted her bridal style and observed her to be a bit lighter than he notion, but shook that distraction as he dashed for his lifestyles. Konan felt weightless as she lay there, letting her focus roam freely. She felt as if she had a fever and could not stand up because she became too vulnerable. Her fingertips felt bloodless in opposition to her face as she basked inside the cool sensation it gave her. Then to her left, a shadowy determined got here over and laid a fab rag on her brow. She calmed even more and set free a chilled sigh as the rag permeated the icy feeling through her brow. She seemed over to her right a bit, and noticed a spiky-haired shadow. The silhouette appeared over her with a solemn face, like he hoped the woman might wake. The discern appeared like he knew her, however her roaming aware made it seem like she knew him as well. Konan attempted to get a better view of the boy by turning her head extra in his path. Simply then, her senses suddenly fell sharp as she remembered who he become. She began to barely tear up as she referred to as his name. Yahiko! She shouted, tearing out of the bed. Ignoring the dropped rag, she wrapped her arms across the parent who generic without hesitation by embracing the girl. She sat there for a second continuing her hug and silently sobbing. A minute or so exceeded because the parent started speaking. He appeared hesitant, but desiring to mention something. Konan-san? The shadow requested. I am glad you are satisfied that I stored your life, but do you need to hug so tightly? Her concept processes terminated as she slowly drew her head up from the determined shoulder. She knew whose voice that changed into all too well as in her arms sat a careworn and flushed Naruto. She recalled what came about, and now not a cut-up second later, she jerked away, as a mild blush crammed her cheeks from the already quite feverish face. I am sorry. I thought, in no way thoughts. Her lips pursed as her sight fell at the mattress. Naruto checked out her, after which looked at his arms. That feeling he felt from Konan, while he held her, was something he continually wanted to sense. He had additionally wished to know what it would feel like to be cherished like Konan appeared to have confirmed to him. For the instant, she appeared to be in a kingdom of craving for the boy, which left him feeling a little sad about the sudden jerk far from the girl. If only he may want to wrap his fingers around her again. Wait a minute. What am I thinking? Gyh. Pull yourself collectively, Naruto, he said, shaking his head. He then pinched and pulled his cheeks apart to try to erase the reminiscence and mind that started out to plague his mind. You don't like Konan-san? You can't. She's like man or older than you. Simply remember, you continue to have Sakura-chan to worry about. Yeah, it really is right. Naruto-san? Konan requested quietly. Naruto glanced again at her, repressing any memories that floundered in his mind. Where am I? She back within the identical tone as earlier then. Oh, properly, we're in Konoha Health Center, he spoke back cheekily. Okay, Konoha, she exclaimed. But how? Nicely, he began, even as scratching his whisker marks. It is a protracted tale. Tsunade sat in her healing mattress in the Konoha hospital. After fighting ache, she regarded to have fallen right into a coma from the long and painful combat that fell within the village. Her mind were a bit hazy about what definitely occurred, so if everyone asked her about what passed off, she would not provide him or her a clear solution. When she wakened in her clinic bed, Shizen and plenty of others stuffed in the details and what happened formerly. To mention she become amazed that Naruto defeated ache became an underestimation, she became pleased. It appeared that Naruto was filling Jiraiya's shoes, now not simplest by means of becoming a sage, however also in his persona as well. Depending on how long you're around someone, you tend to emerge as more like them. In Naruto's case, he was nearly a spitting picture of Jiraiya's persona when the sage became more youthful, minus the perverted aspect. However, she did not think on it for too long, as the Godame had a first-rate headache that throbbed in her frontal lobes. It became a headache that made her want to wreck her face with a hammer to put off the feeling. To look the nine-tailed Jinchuriki burst through the door best made subjects worse. Howdy, Granny Tsunade, I want your assist, he screamed as he roamed to her bed. Naruto? What's that means of this, barging into my room like a madman? The Godame asked, a bit indignant. The headache made her extra irate than she would have been generally. However, Naruto simply shrugged off the attitude by answering the motive why he became there. Well, you spot I have this trouble, he fidgeted. Properly, I've this buddy who's severely injured and that I want to get them to a room to be healed as quickly as feasible. The Hokage looked at him like he become barely idiotic. Normally human beings ask her for more king-like favors, as in doing a task or asking to retrieve something of foremost importance, not something this mediocre. Why are you asking me? If a person is injured, then take them to the medical nin. You don't ought to ask my permission for something like that, she answered, stricken by the apparently silly situation. It's the hassle. If I attempted to convey this character in, the scientific nin might reject her treatment. Tsunade shot a questionable appearance to the boy. She turned into kind of intrigued by who Naruto had in his thoughts. It additionally made her a bit apprehensive due to the fact the clinical nin usually heal everybody except enemies of the kingdom. Who do you definitely have, Naruto? Her voice dropped lividness and had an extra severe tone. She went immediately to the point, maintaining Naruto from beating around the bush. Nicely, if I tell you, you have to heal her, promise? The blonde nin requested, nearly pleading. It doesn't paintings that way, Naruto. Now inform me who it is. Tsunade snapped, inflicting the Jinchuriki to leap. Naruto cast his head downward, after which reluctantly strolled over to Tsunade, ensuring that no person except her could hear. In particular, retaining wandering Anbu ears from eavesdropping, he commenced to whisper. Konan from the Akatsuki. What? She yelled, that echoed through the whole region. Anbu speedy stuffed the vicinity, trying to figure out what turned into taking place. What is going on? Woman Hokage? Is there an outsider? No, you idiots, go away this room at once. This is account number among me and Naruto here, Tsunade interjected. The ANBU felt a tad dissatisfied, but left as speedy as they got here, ensuring not to enrage the Hokage. She kneaded her brow, letting out a sigh as she did so. This became making her head hurt extra than essential. Naruto turned into constantly excellent at giving her a hard time, and it regarded like he turned into doing it once more. This time she became fascinated why he desired her rehabilitated though, so she started out a barrage of questions. Why do you need her healed, Naruto? Does she have excellent facts? She asked a little careworn. It is not every day that someone wants an enemy restored to their original repute. Naruto shook his head furiously. No! She's a pal now. She's no longer even with the Akatsuki anymore. Tsunade decreased her gaze. She felt awful for Naruto as he became nonetheless a youngster who did not fully recognize the guidelines. Appearance, simply due to the fact she left the Akatsuki. It doesn't suggest that every one of her actions in the direction of the Leaf Village are forgiven. Naruto frowned at that declaration. I recognize. It's just that Nagato told me to take care of her. I failed to know every other manner than to bring her to the vicinity that is the most secure to me. Konoha, he informed her softly. Wait a minute, the Hokage interrupted. Nagato told you to take care of her? Naruto looked at her again and responded quick. Yeah, he depended on me with that request, and I must live up to it. So are you able to do it? He changed into getting riled up from his phrases just considering it. The extra he sat right here. The closer Konan was to dying, and he needed to idly wait by way of, she will be useless proper now, and he would not even comprehend it. Tsunade become ignorant of the anger, and continued to ask extra questions. Properly, why might he need you to defend her? He knew you have been the enemy. Naruto then clenched his fists. Due to the fact Nagato and that I came to an understanding with each other. He trusts me. Can you heal her? He additionally gritted his enamel from the dragging on this communique did. But that still doesn't make any feel that he might believe you. You have been the Tsunade turned into reduce off as Naruto sooner or later had it. Due to the fact he is my cousin. He trusts me, he subsequently screamed, causing a remarkable panic from Tsunade. The Hokage's eyes widened intensely as she received a view of Naruto. He became staring heatedly at her now. However, that wasn't the purpose why she turned into wide-eyed. She regarded into the Jinchuriki's eyes and saw the two violet circles on every iris. She received a complete view of the Rinnegan Naruto now possessed. Her speech had become hoarse as she felt a spell wash over her, but she routinely regained her composure, feeling the want to say something. The Rinnegan? She choked out. The Godame turned into at a loss. She simply received information that she by no means knew, and now it appeared that Naruto now received the Rinnegan as properly. Yes, Naruto started out. His remaining present to me became the Rinnegan. He gave it to me proper before he died and entrusted me with the present to guard his remaining pleasant pal and discover true peace. His gaze faltered as he discovered himself looking at the floor. And that is what I am going to do. I do not care if human beings hate me for doing this, because if they had been in my footwear they could do the equal aspect. So, are you going to help me or not? Tsunade turned into speechless. Matters were jumbled in her head, and he or she could not suppose in reality. Maybe it become the headache that caused this mishap, or maybe it turned into all of this new facts that she by no means knew within the first region. It's no longer like everyone may want to supply her a plausible solution. She attempted to locate something to mention to the blonde-haired Jinchuriki, handiest to open her mouth, no longer say a phrase. It stayed like that for a few greater seconds earlier than Naruto turned his head to the door. Fine. If you won't help, I can locate a few person who will. He stated his final phrases and went for the door. Tsunade felt she had to mention something, so she shouted his name. Naruto! What? He retorted lividly, turning his head to her path. Nicely. I cannot do it due to the fact I am nonetheless in the health center. However, I think I'm able to get a person else that will help you. What? Made her change her mind turned into in no way certainly clear. However, Naruto seemed to be coming through to her in some way. Tsunade did not even recognize what phrases have been coming from her very own mouth. It nearly made her dizzy by the event that changed into taking area as seeing Naruto this manner regarded completely in contrast to him. He become commonly glad and carefree, a little conceited in a few manner too, but in no way hot-headed. The remaining time she saw him this way appeared to be while he was trying to carry her again to Konoha. Naruto had to combat Orochimaru alongside the way. He became mad that day too, however it gave the impression of he best gets quick-tempered while he's protecting a person. That's certainly one of his better qualities. She notioned deeply, but then mechanically continued her reaction to Naruto. ANBU report, she yelled, summoning the cloaked characters from the front door to the hospital room. Yes, female Hokage. The ANBU guards answered in unison. Bring in Harino Sakura. Inform her to drop everything right now and come to my room. It's far an emergency. She replied forcefully. Yes, girl Hokage. They answered once more in unison. They each immediately disappeared by means of Shunshin, leaving Naruto and Tsunade alone again. You're supporting me? Naruto became again to the girl, who gave him a pitiful appearance of some kind. Sure, I don't know why, but I agree with your selection, Naruto. She felt complacent with that solution as she scanned the room. Don't worry. I will have a room secluded specifically for her on this infirmary so no person harms her. Tsunade answered rapidly after, the look on her face modified as her eyes lingered to the ceiling with an annoyed gesture. It's not going to be easy explaining this one. While he heard the Godame's strong announcement, it made him experience like a weight have been lifted off of his shoulders. Thank you, Tsunade-sama. The Hokage blinked a couple of times when the once phrases spoke from Naruto's mouth. She had in no way been spoken to so formally by means of him before. It changed into almost unnerving to listen the maturity from the blonde ning. Yeah, I want a higher rationalization of the whole thing that befell for your combat with Nagato, so don't forget. She finalized before Sakura and a few ANBU appeared. Yes, milady? Sakura requested, absolutely oblivious to Naruto's appearance. The ANBU speedy disappeared later on from a signal the Hokage acceded to them. Sakura, I need you to accompany Naruto and do anything he asks of you. No questions requested. Tsunade started out. But, Lady Tsunade. Sakura burst before she acquired a raising hand from the Hokage. I don't want to hear it. The Sannin interjected. This is something that has to be handled with utmost significance. Whatever you have been doing previously must be done later. This is a depend among existence and demise. Tsunade informed the lady unwavered. Sakura regarded over to Naruto, who appeared like he desired to run in whatever direction viable to do what Tsunade changed into asking. He had a pain in his eyes that wasn't truly apparent unless you knew him for a long time. Sakura has recognized him for the final 4 years of her life, so it changed into now not like matters he felt would simply slip by using her. Concern washed over her face as she felt involved for her pal. Sure, milady. Sakura sooner or later responded. Naruto could not preserve it in any more. He sprinted out of the door and ran to the desired location at breakneck speeds. Wait! Naruto! Sakura shouted only to get no response from the blonde ning. Naruto became in his own little international. He could not pay attention or say something, because the only component he changed into worried about in the interim became laying on the Konoha hospital rooftop. It was somewhere inconspicuous so nobody would dare contact the character or even trouble to appearance. It changed into getting harder for Sakura to keep up because Naruto changed into still walking and didn't need to prevent or confirm any signs and symptoms to. She attempted calling him numerous greater times, however the boy in reality disregarded her. Once they reached the roof, Naruto took a sharp left and veered right into a corner of the building, dodging around vents and aircon units. He in the end stopped and kneeled down next to a bigger vent that had nothing around it. Sakura turned into harassed, but most effective for a second as Naruto dispelled a genjutsu to show a beaten and tattered Konan mendacity subsequent to the vent. The ex-Akatsuki became barely respiration and appeared as though she had been clinging on to lifestyles by using an unmarried thread. Naruto, is this? Sakura started out, but stopped once she noticed the Jinchuriki's face. He had a glance of contempt to the girl as she lay there helpless. It became as if he was thinking tough approximately something. Then, without converting his gaze at the blue-haired female, he requested Sakura a question. Can you heal her? Each word seemed to cut through the air like a razor. He became lifeless extreme about this. He sincerely wanted an enemy of the country healed. He failed to even sincerely recognize this character too well, but he could heal her and not using a hesitation? She checked out him like he changed into doing something stupid, and received no glares from him as his eyes have been nonetheless fixated on the Rain. Naruto, you cannot be severe. She is the enemy. Why could you? Why? She stopped as she saw a tear fall from the boy's cheek. Due to the fact, I promised a chum. The boy answered hoarsely. Please, Sakura, are you able to please heal her? His gaze did no longer leave the blue-haired woman's face. Sakura checked out her pal, after which looked at the Rain once more as she contemplated for a second, or, no longer certainly knowing what became going on within the boy's head. Alright, Naruto, however must dispose of her Akatsuki cloak and any other identifiable items, if we want to do that without any issues. She spoke back to the blonde Nin. Naruto gently nodded his head as he watched Sakura. Konan no longer had the mild blue origami flower on her head, which may also have fallen off previously from her come upon with Tobi, so Sakura went for her Akatsuki cloak instead. She pulled off the Rain-Nin's cloak to show attire unseen. She pulled the purple and black cloak to expose a dark blue zip-up robe that commenced zipping right above the navel and flared out around her waist. The gown also had no sleeves and left her again naked, allowing easy mobility. His eyes accompanied Sakura's moves as she continued unclothing the other girl. The missing cloak additionally found out skin-tight pants that matched the gown in shade, with a wrapped pouch underneath her hip. Of direction the garments she wore have been torn and dirted, but they were left out as Sakura went as much as get rid of all of Konan's piercings beginning with her lip. Once she changed into through with that, the lifeless female offered no resistance as Sakura in the end removed her belly button piercings as nicely, leaving open holes on her bruised however honest pores and skin. Now, Sakura began, I'm able to most effective repair her enough to preserve her alive for now. The rest of the recovery should be completed inside the medical institution. He made a silent agreement as Sakura then lightly positioned her palms on Konan's frame, taking the proper steps any scientific ninja might be required to do in excessive conditions. Naruto watched as a chakra with a greenish glow began quivering around the medic Nin's palms. Her eyelids fell as she examined the Rain Nin's harm. She has a couple of ruptured organs with 4 broken ribs, and one of these ribs has lodged itself into her heart. Sakura introduced regrettably. If I pull it out now, she will be able to bleed internally. So, what can we do? Will she stay? Naruto quietly requested in a tone now not normally heard by means of the purple-haired lady. Properly, I can heal her ruptured organs and deal with her burns, however we need a medic group to do the relaxation. Despite all the things we recognize now about recuperation, it's Miles' type of difficult to mention, she finalized. After taking a breath she continued. Alright, right here is going nothing. Then with that she commenced to heal the ex-Akatsuki. Naruto fell silent as he resounded what Sakura instructed him. Konan was way greater abysmal than he conceived at the start. The Rain Nin he became told to defend ought to clearly die and there would not be something he should do about it, but she couldn't die now. If he discovered something about his combat with Nagato, then he might realize that no matter what takes place, continually have wish. That became what Naruto believed to begin with, so what made him exchange his mind now? Not anything. Not anything at all. His mindset altered slowly as memories flooded his head of the struggles he went through as a child. All of the rigors and tribulations he confronted kept beating him down, and trying him to stay that manner. However, Naruto's willpower made him upward push against every component that become laid upon him. Sakura stole a glance of his face exchange as he stood up. She should see the look in his eye. After that revelation of what he in the beginning stood for, his face changed from one in all disappointment to at least one of great fortitude. She'll live. I just comprehend it. He responded out loud. Of course, it wasn't truly known whether or not she could live. However, the boy did not lose optimism. He became especially confident in his answer as he stared at the blue-haired girl. Sakura looked at her top buddy, then glanced back off on the lowly Rain Nin. Naruto. What do you spot in her? she notioned apprehensively as she continued her treatment. Konan's face slowly advanced from its previous painful expression to a softer, calmer fashion. The burn marks also diminished steadily as Sakura endured her mystical palm approach, now preserving her consciousness entirely at the Akatsuki. Some moments later, the crimson-haired medic Nin completed her remedy. I have executed all I will for now. She commenced at the same time as lifting herself from the roof. The rib will ought to be carried out within the health facility because it takes multiple person for activity like that, okay? He mutely checked out her, and then grew to become his remark back to Konan. A moderate smile grew on his features due to the considerable improvements that have been shown at the character's frame. She now appeared somewhat happier from all of the recovery that happened. Then, without hesitation, he picked up the blue-haired ninja gingerly the identical way as earlier then and commenced again into the health center. Naruto? Sakura requested with a reached hand, but turned into another time-denied reputation from the blonde-haired boy. Her eyes wandered on the blonde ninja for some moments earlier, then she heaved a sigh and followed fit. The pitter-patter of FT echoed off the clinic partitions because the duo wandered aimlessly for a room to area Konan into. It sort of angered them that they did no longer have an escort, due to the fact they didn't understand what room they were supposed to go to, that is, till multiple ANBU seemed in front of them by Shunshin. This way, one of the black-cloaked figures spoke back sternly. Naruto and Sakura seemed and nodded at every different in silent unison, then trailed in the back of the two Black Ops individuals. They all reached a room on the quid of every other corridor to the proper, and were welcomed with an working desk and several other medic Nin quietly, looking ahead to their patient. It appeared as though the Hokage had stored her stop of the bargain, so Naruto felt a bit greater appreciation toward the Sannin. There have been also different ANBU inside the emergency room, possibly there to look that the recovery makes a success with none tampering or mystery assassination attempts. Naruto slowly walked into the working room and positioned the Rain Nin's limp frame carefully on the desk. No longer even a second later, some medic Nin commenced to operate on the Akatsuki. Sakura then quickly stuffed them in on what she did, and what turned into wrong with the girl before one of the different clinical Nin walked over to both Naruto and Sakura and frivolously shooed them out. Do not worry, we will take it from here. She responded softly to each of the younger Leaf Nin, last the door in the back of their exit. I see, Konan stated quietly. They had just finished a sanatorium lunch, because the blonde Jinchuriki slurped up whatever he had left of his soup after he completed his tale. She seemed down and noticed the bandages wrapped around her figure. She became nearly mummified from the percentage that blanketed up most of her frame. Most of these bandages regarded to be protecting her these days burned areas as well, even though she become healed in advance. Perhaps due to the fact the skin is clean and far greater touchy than her skin turned into earlier then. Her eyes fell on Naruto, who gave her a cunning grin in return. It appeared that Naruto went out of his way to live genuine to his promise that he made to Nagato. Despite the fact that she become type of an enemy to him still, he tried his pleasant to revive her and stay as much as his older cousin's wishes. Perhaps, I'm able to believe him, Konan idea in her thoughts as she contemplated upon previous occurrences. He appeared to be manner greater truthful than she notioned originally. I don't apprehend him in any respect. He even revived an enemy of the country at his village's price. It would not make any feel, but maybe it'd be a very good idea to get to realize this boy as properly.